Alright, what is up my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolve video. Alright soldiers, we are back with another set of reveals, and I'm very excited to talk about set 11's sword reveal. Alright, before we get into these reveals, we actually have two new keyword skills that are going to be in the swordcraft class, so let's go ahead and talk about those. Alright, so we're going to be freezing our opponent's followers with the new boxed ability, and followers with the box state lose all of their abilities and will not refresh in the start phase. Alright, so I did peek at the Q&A, and I'm pretty sure that followers are boxed for the very next turn, and then the turn after that, if that follower is still there, they are unboxed and they can re-engage. Now, if I'm incorrect about that, please let me know in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure followers have the ability to become unboxed after the turn that they're boxed. Alright, so I do believe this is an interesting state for Swordcraft, having a way to just keep our opponent's cards like engaged and then they have no way to activate their ability. So if there's like a static ability that is really annoying, you can just box that follower and you don't have to deal with it. And sometimes there are competitive aspects to keeping a follower on field to just go ahead and keep that board space like there and they can't do anything with it. Or if you really want to box a follower that either has like last words or something, to go ahead and box them, then remove that follower and you don't have to worry about those last words. Alright, and then we have our new ability maneuver, so now we can turn our amulets into followers. So as long as we can fulfill the conditions to, maneuver a follower, we can turn them into a follower that can do either effects on their activate abilities, or in this case with Bunny and Baron, we can turn this Val into a storm follower. Alright, so without further ado, let's look at our first card. So we have Not the Cursed Queen. So she's a 4-cost 3/5. When she comes to play Fanfare, you search your deck for a Swordcraft card that costs 1, put it into your EX area, and then you shuffle your deck. You can also activate for 0 play points to select enemy follower on the field and engage it. Until the end of its controller's next turn, that follower is boxed. You can activate only once per turn, and boxed followers lose all abilities and are unable to refresh at the start of the turn. Alright, so with Not's ability, those box followers are only going to stay boxed for that next turn, so box things aren't permanent so far. So as long as it says, until the controller's next turn, that follower is boxed. So they lose all the abilities and they can't refresh, and that follower is just sitting there, just kind of just looking at everybody because it can't even refresh to swing, can't do its abilities, it's just not doing anything. And then on top of that, with this Fanfare ability, to get any Swordcraft card that costs 1 from our deck and put it into our EX area is pretty good for a 2-for-1 special there. Alright, and then next up we have Bunny and Baron Spectre Duo, so they are a 3-cost 3/3 and you can evolve them for 1. Alright, so looking at Bunny and Baron evolve, so they turn into a 4/4 and you can choose one of the following. You can either 1, summon a Val Trusty Getaway card token, or 2, search your deck for a Desperado shot, reveal it and add it to your hand and then shuffle your deck. So if you remember peeking earlier, the Val Trusty Getaway card is going to be the token that's going to gain Storm if we do the abilities that we need to, which of course we're going to look at right next. But also this Desperado shot is going to be a pretty cool card that might be free when we have this card on field. Alright, so looking at the Val Trusty Getaway card, so it's a 2-cost amulet, which is a 3/3 because it can turn into a follower, but you can activate to engage a Bunny and Baron Spectre Duo on your field. You can maneuver this card, and for this turn, this follower becomes a 3/3 follower. You can also activate for 1 play point to engage 2 followers on your field to maneuver this card as well. This follower has Storm, and it also has Strike ability. If there's another Wasteland follower on your field, you can draw a card. So essentially, evolving the Bunny and Baron Spectre Duo is going to get this card out. If you choose the first mode, as long as you engage them, you can go ahead and turn this into a 3/3 follower with Storm. You can swing as long as there's a Wasteland follower, which there is because Bunny and Baron is a Wasteland follower. You can go ahead and draw a card. Alrighty, next up we have Reinhardt the Deathless, so he's a 3-cost 3/4. You can evolve him for 2, but when he comes into play, if there are at least 3 face-up evolve followers in your evolve deck, you can evolve this follower. I really do enjoy followers that are able to kind of like cheat their way out in terms of like evolving, so looking at whatever this Reinhardt does in the evolve form is going to be very interesting. Alright, so looking at Reinhardt evolve, so he turns into a 4/5, he has a sail, and at the start of your end phase, give this follower and your leader +2 defense. Alright, so a Russia Sail follower is pretty good. I'm kind of upset at the fact that this guy does not have 5 attack, but honestly, if he had 5 attack and then he kept getting defense, that might be a little ridiculous, so, kind of balances out there. So having a 4/5 is not bad, and that then in turn turns into a 4/7, or he gets like 2 defense back from swinging to whatever follower if he manages to survive. Just make sure that this follower does survive so you can get that 2 health and get that 2 defense. Alright, so next up we have Radical Gunslinger, which is a 1-cost 0/1, which comes into play, you summon a Dutiful Steed token. You can also activate to engage this card and 2 mount cards on your field. You can select enemy leader or an enemy follower on the field and then deal it 2 damage. So we absolutely love the 2-for-1 special on this channel. I will always say that I love 2-for-1, so being able to spend 1 on turn 1 can get you a nice token on the field. while also being able to engage those 2 mount cards to either select enemy follower or do a leader 2 damage. Alright, so looking at the Dutiful Steed token, so it's a 1-cost amulet, so you can activate to bury this card, then you can select a follower on your field, and if it's a Wasteland follower, you can give it +1/+1. So essentially on turn 1, we can play the Gunslinger and then have this Dutiful Steed go ahead and bury it, get rid of it, and then she turns it into a 1/2. Alright, so looking at Tyrant's Order, so it's a 1-cost spell, so you can select up to 1 boxed enemy follower on the field and destroy it, and then search your deck for a Wasteland follower and reveal it and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Alright, so once you've already played the Not Legendary, you can go ahead and search your deck for this card to go ahead and select that boxed enemy follower on the field and destroy it, and then you can search for another Not so you can go ahead and keep the cycle going. Alrighty, next up we have Stalwart Slinger, so he's a 6-cost 3/3. You can evolve him for 1, but when he comes into play, select the enemy card on the field and destroy it. Alright, so hard removal, and on top of that, it also can target amulets too. So now on turn 6, Sword has a card to just go ahead and remove any card on field, especially since we have those pesky amulets that are going to be the maneuver cards or the Dutiful Steeds, so being able to target amulets is pretty key here. Alright, and then looking at the Stalwart Slinger, so he turns into a 4/4 and has a sail, but on evolve you deal 3 damage each enemy leader. Alright, so lots of things going on here. So not only on the unevolved side we can take care of an amulet or a follower, we can also swing into a reserved follower that's standing upright, and then we can deal 3 damage while evolving this follower. Alrighty, next up we have Outlaw Gunner, so she's a 3-cost 2/2. When she comes into play, you summon a Bullet Bite token, and then she has a last word, so when she dies, you deal 2 damage each enemy leader. So I see the running theme here. So if we're going to be playing our followers, if you're going to take one of our followers down, we're going to be like an outlaw, and we're going to steal some of your life, so I kind of like that. Alright, so let's look at this Bullet Bite token. So it's a 1-cost amulet. You can activate to bury this card, and you can select a follower on your field, give it rush, and if it's a Wasteland follower, you can give it +1 attack. So essentially with the Outlaw Gunner, we're going to spawn this card out, we're going to bury it. Our Outlaw Gunner is going to be a 3/2 with rush, which is going to be very vital because with our last words, we're going to be dealing 2 damage to the enemy leader. Alright, so looking at Desperado Shot, so it's a 2-cost spell, so you can select enemy follower on the field and deal it 4 damage, and if there's a Bunny and Bear Inspector duo and a Val Trusty Gateway card on your field, you can deal 6 damage instead and then deal 2 damage to its leader. Alright, so mind you soldiers, this actually isn't a crazy sort of like interaction here, so as long as we have the Bunny and Bear, and as long as we use the first one that we play to, spawn out that Val Trusty Getaway card, if our opponent doesn't have the amulet removal, that card is just going to sit on the field the rest of the game. And then as long as we get that Desperado Shot with the next Bunny and Baron that we evo with, we can go ahead and use those extra 2 play points to go ahead and deal 6 damage to an enemy follower, while burning the enemy leader for 2. Alrighty, next up we have Shinobi Tanuki, so it's a 1-cost 1/1, and we can evolve it for 1. Alrighty, looking at the Shinobi Evolve, so it turns into a 2/2 and it has Intimidating. Alright, so if you're playing a little bit lower to the ground with Swordcraft, I think this isn't a bad card to be looking at, honestly, just because if our opponent's going to be playing cards and they're playing low to the ground, they're playing followers as well, this card can't be targeted, so yeah, they have to find a way to use a spell to get rid of this card, or they're just going to keep getting pinged for 2. Alrighty, next up we have Not's Henchman, so he's a 1-cost 2/2, and if there's a Not Cursed Queen on your field, this card costs 1 less to play from the EX area, but when he comes into play, if there's a Not Cursed Queen on your field, you can draw a card. Alright, so mind you, Not gets any 1-cost Swordcraft card from the deck, and of course this is going to be free as long as you have the Not on field. But also, if your opponent doesn't have a card on field, there's no reason to get the Tyrant's Order to box anything. You can go ahead and build up your board so you can go ahead and draw a card and replace that card you played, that being Not. Alright, next up we have Frontline Instructor, so she's a 2-cost 2/3. When she comes into play, you can spend X play points. You can summon X Steelclad Knight tokens, where X is the number of your choice. You can also activate to engage this card, and for the rest of this turn, all Swordcraft followers on your field have Rush and a Sail. Alright, so I believe there are some instances, especially in Token Sword, where this can come up, especially because, not every time you're able to clear all the tokens off on the field, or sometimes if you really need to play it on, like, the curve or the back end, you need to spawn all these tokens out to get some removal going. It's pretty cool too, since you can have those followers with the Rush and a Sail. Alrighty, next up we have Bandit Raid, so it's a 3-cost spell card. You can look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and from among them, you may put a follower that costs 3 or less onto the field. If it's a Thief follower, you can give it +1/+1 in Rush, and then you put the rest in the bottom in any order. I wonder what this card looks like. It's almost like it looks like one of the other archetypes we've seen in the past. I hope that there's not going to be archetype where we're going to be using this card a whole bunch, and then we put in cards on the field for free. I wonder. And of course, all jokes aside, there are a lot of thief followers in the game, so I think Octress is going to enjoy this a whole bunch, and on top of the fact that the followers get rushed too, so not only do they get that buff, they're able to swing at an engaged follower at the same time too. And mind you, with Thief, we're going to be wanting to mill our opponent for X amount of cards, so those cards that we're playing are going to have fanfares. But for the Bandit raid, of course, we're going to look for the Bunny and Baron, so we can get that engine started. Alright, and lastly but not least, we have Dramatic Retreat. So it's a 0-cost quick spell, and this card can't be played during your turn, but you can select a follower on your field and put it into your EX area. Alright, so one thing we do hate as card players is that when our opponent is going to answer our cards with another follower and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, if we really do enjoy fanfares on that card, we now have a quick spell that is free, by the way, to just go ahead and put a follower into our EX area so we can replay those cards. Alright, and here are our alternate art cards for set 11, Bullet of Fate. So we have our Not, so she's going to have a nice swimsuit edition too, so look out for that when you're opening your boxes or, you know, opening your cases and whatnot. This is going to be a pretty beautiful card, and I hope if you're going to be rocking the, like, boxed version of it, you know, you're able to obtain this card as best as your ability. And alrighty soldiers, that is it for the Swordcraft reveals. I am very excited for set 11, honestly. That Not card is going to be very amazing with the Tyrant's Order. That's just good removal, like, and digging through your deck. And honestly, at the same time, like, it's just good for Spartacus. I'm currently building Spartacus right now as best as I can. But this Not card is probably going to change up the game for Swordcraft. And of course, you know, the Bunny and Baron being thieves is going to be something that Octress is probably going to be looking at too. But alright soldiers, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to me that you are watching, and I'm sorry that I might have just taken like a crazy hiatus, but I did do the breakdowns for the other Vanguards. If you haven't seen already or haven't been keeping up, I highly appreciate you if you guys go check that out. You know, let me know what was wrong with those videos, what was right. It just means a lot to me that you guys are watching these videos. But alright soldiers, make sure you are safe in whatever you do tonight and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah, TRINN. Just to get you away. What I got to do, what I got to do. Just to get you away. What I got to do.